News headlines. Jawad Zarif claims that neither US nor Europe can lecture Iran on its missile program. Iran more successful in coronavirus fight than UK. Afghan Taliban reject government offer of Ramadan ceasefire. US tracks Iran's Noor satellite as it enters into orbit. US congressman tells Iran to get its act together or prepare to meet Soleimani. Donald Trump suggests injecting disinfectant to treat COVID-19. Neither US nor Europe can lecture Iran on its missile program. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Jawad Zarif says neither the United States nor its European allies, with their flimsy misreading of the landmark nuclear deal of 2015, is allowed to lecture the Islamic Republic on its missile program. US has been boiling all against UNSC Resolution 2231 since 2017. Europe obeyed US instead of 2231, Zarif said in a posting on Twitter on Friday. He added that neither the United States nor Europe can lecture Iran based on flimsy misreading of Resolution 2231. Iran neither has nukes or missiles designed to be capable for carrying such horrific arms, the top Iranian diplomat stated. He attached a number of images and screenshot photos of documents and newspapers about the significance of nuclear weapons and the budget allocated to the construction of nuclear warheads by the US and some European countries, and questioned who is in fact proliferating nukes and violating international resolutions. Zarif's tweet came in response to allegations leveled by Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, claiming on Wednesday that Iran needs to be held accountable for the launch of a military satellite, adding that the action was not consistent with the Security Council Resolution 2231. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps IRGC successfully placed the Islamic Republic's first ever military satellite, dubbed Noor-1 or Light-1, in its designed orbit on April 22nd, using a rocket which is also the country's first three-stage launch vehicle to successfully deliver its load. Iran more successful in coronavirus fight than UK. Mayor of London Sadiq Khan has hailed Iran's endeavor in the containment of the deadly coronavirus pandemic despite Washington's cruel sanctions, saying Tehran has even been more successful than Britain in this regard. Speaking in a video conversation with Tehran's Mayor Feroz Hanachi on Friday, Khan said most of the required measures taken in London are similar to those employed in Iran. He added that London has strict quarantine regulations since March 23rd, and people were just allowed to leave their houses for buying food, going to the doctor, conducting sport exercises only once in a day, and going to special jobs. Pointing on public transportation in London, Khan noted that the Underground only transfer 5% of passengers and 15% of people take the bus. The London mayor also elaborated on the efforts made by the British scientists to treat the novel coronavirus and said a new vaccine recently made by the Oxford University would be tested soon. Britain is also testing a kind of antibody taken from coronavirus infected patients who have recovered, he said, adding that an ultimate outcome remains far. He further moved to hold talks with British officials about problems caused in the way of Iran's fight due to the sanctions, expressing hope that the bans would be lifted as soon as possible. Iran has been doing its utmost to contain the respiratory cases caused by the COVID-19 despite the hardship caused by the sanction. Tehran has repeatedly said it does not want Washington's help in the fight, but wants the White House to lift the illegal economic sanctions so that Tehran could mobilize its own resources to tackle the pandemic. The administration of US President Donald Trump has not only defied international calls on Washington in recent weeks to halt the draconian sanctions, but has even slapped more such restrictive measures on the Islamic Republic. Washington reimposed its sanction on Iran in May 2018 after unilaterally leaving a historic nuclear accord with the Islamic Republic and other countries that has been endorsed by the UN Security Council. Afghan Taliban reject governor offer of Ramadan ceasefire. The Taliban militant group in Afghanistan has rejected a government offer for the ceasefire in the country during the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on Thursday called for a truce for the duration of the fasting month of Ramadan, which began in Afghanistan on Friday, to allow the authorities to focus on fighting the coronavirus outbreak in the country. But a spokesman for the militant group, Sohail Shaheen, said on Twitter late on Thursday that the call for the ceasefire was not rational and convincing. He cited ongoing disagreements over a delayed prisoner swap. The government and the militant group have been discussing a prisoner exchange since early April. While they have swapped a number of prisoners as part of the process, the exchange has faced hurdles. The Taliban have asked for the release of members who have been involved in violent attacks, and the government has heard reservations about their release. The swap is a part of an agreement reached between the United States and the Taliban in February that envisages complete withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. The Afghan government was not a party to the negotiations or the deal, but it has agreed to the exchange. The recent dispute in the exchange process has worried the U.S., which is concerned the deal may collapse if the captives on either side contract the coronavirus and even die before they are exchanged, completing matters. Under the agreement between the US and the Taliban, the Afghan government is required to ultimately release 5,000 Taliban prisoners and the militant group to free 1,000 government captives. US tracks Iran's Noor satellite as it enters into orbit. The United States says it has tracked Iran's successful launch and entry into orbit of its first military satellite. On Wednesday, Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps IRGC said it had successfully launched and placed the country's first military satellite, dubbed Noor-1 or Light-1, into orbit. The satellite was launched via the Qassed carrier satellite carrier during an operation that was staged in Dasht Khabar, Iran's sprawling central desert. The satellite was placed into orbit 425 kilometers above Earth surface. Following the announcement, U.S. Air Force General John Hyten, who is invictus chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of the Staff, said Washington was tracking the launch closely. Later in the day, the U.S. Air Force's 18th Space Control Squadron said in a tweet that it had tracked two objects in the orbit that were launched from within Iran, one being the carrier and the other the satellite itself. Subsequently, the U.S. Space Command, the new organizational structure within the Pentagon that has overall control of military space operations, said in a tweet that it was closely monitoring Iran's pursuit of viable space launch technology. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Iran needed to be held accountable for the launch, claiming that the move violated United Nations Security Council Resolution 2231. Resolution 2231, which endorsed a 2015 multilateral nuclear deal between Iran and 6 other countries, from which the U.S. later withdrew, called on Iran not to undertake any activity related to the ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launch using such ballistic missile technology, but did not prohibit Tehran from launching satellites. Furthermore, under other international law, including these governor space-related activities, all countries are allowed right to use of outer space for peaceful purpose. Noor-1 is Iran's first multi-purpose satellite, with application in defense industry among other areas. The launch operation was carried out by the IRGC's Aerospace Division. The agency said the country's aerospace program was expected to gather pace following the launch. Over the next several years, it said the country was expected to deploy its military space activities toward taking care of its relevant telecommunications purposes, including promotion of consistent and safe communication capabilities. U.S. Congress tells Iran to get its fact together or prepare to meet Soleimani. Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz has told Iran to get its act together or prepare to meet General Qasem Soleimani, referring to the lead Iranian commander who was mistreated by the U.S. military during a diplomatic mission in Iraq in January. In an interview on Thursday, Gaetz warned Iran against taking any hostile actions against U.S. forces and vowed that despite Washington's unwillingness to engage in open hostilities, it will respond to what he called terrorism. The U.S. doesn't seek a war with Iran under President Trump's doctrine. We are not going to engage in endless foreign wars. but we will take our terrorists. So the message is very clear to any Iranian official that would engage in terrorism. Either get your act together or get prepared to meet General Soleimani, Gaetz said. He said that US President Donald Trump has already warned Iran about the consequences of harassing US warships patrolling in the Persian Gulf. He went to predict that any war with the US will be lost by Iran. On January 3rd, the US assassinated General Soleimani, commander of Quds Force of Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps, and Abdul Mahdi al-Mohandes, the second in command of Iraq's Popular Mobilization Units, PMU, and the group of their companions in Baghdad. The operation was conducted with the authority of Trump. The Pentagon took responsibility for the assassination. Donald Trump suggested injecting disinfectant to treat COVID-19. Medical experts have heard out US President Donald Trump after he floated the idea of injecting disinfectant into the body to fight COVID-19. Trump, already under fire for his coronavirus response, also appeared to suggest using ultraviolet UV light inside the body. His comments, which came on the day to US death toll from COVID-19 passed 50,000 people, sparked a backlash online. Doctors and scientists were quick to distract to suggestion and warned injecting disinfectant into people could be fatal. Thanks for watching our video till the end. If you want to support us, don't forget to subscribe our channel. God bless you.